Thanks for joining our Johnson Family Group Chat, y'all. This is an all-access podcast covering random topics straight from our family text threads. Our intention is to provide a few moments of lighthearted banter in hopes that will entertain, lighten your mood, and create some laughs in the process. We hope you enjoy this week's episode. Family, let's get to it.
Welcome. We are back, y'all. The Johnson Family Group Chat. I am Demetrius, the dad of the group, and then I'm here with my wife, Saradia, the mom of the group, and then Tatiana, Darren, and Danielle. Y'all, this is the last one. Stop pointing at these stuffed animals, man. She keep pointing at these stuff. Okay, sidebars. Go ahead with your sidebar, Danielle.
Welcome back to Danielle and Friends.
No, absolutely not. You're not going. This is not a show within the show.
Anyway, I want to introduce you guys to Seven the Sloth. Say hi, Seven.
If that's sloth, if that thing actually said hi, I think you jump off that couch.
Hello. Hey-o.
Hey-o. Oh, man. Any other sidebars? Danielle, you too much.
No. I know.
Any other sidebars? Shout out.
I'm going to give a shout out to all the college kids going back to school.
Shout out to Bison Nation. Seeing y'all soon. Love y'all.
Boo.
We'll get one.
Danielle, I'm not gonna. Now that all of us has experience or been in college, you probably have the worst mascot. I'm gonna be honest.
A tree.
That's okay.
But you probably don't have a lit spirit anyway.
You said what?
I've never had school spirit anyway.
Oh, Danielle, you can't. Come on.
Say that.
You got to do better than
I
that.
already said it. What you?
Now,
Was that
go
you
ahead.
taking it back?
That was her rewinding. Okay, and go. Do over. Got her the second chance.
Still not gonna do it either.
I plead the fifth.
Go Bison.
Oh my god.
Go Bison.
Yeah, just you know what? It's probably going to change. What do you think, babe? You think it's going to change for her?
Yep, she's going to.
And we said that in high school too.
No, I don't remember. No, nobody ever said that because middle school, like, is it really that big of a deal in middle school like that?
She said
What?
high school.
No, I'm saying, but like, in middle school, are you really like repping? Like, I'm an alumni of. Do you?
Parkway.
Yeah, but is that what you talk about? Most people talk about college, high school. So that's what I'm saying. Middle school, I don't remember us saying that going into high school.
Well, it ain't happening.
I think it's gonna change. So to be continued. We'll see. We shall see. All right, let's go to the text, y'all. Let's go to the text. So this text was November of 2021, November 21, and this was mom again. Mom. In the last one, mom was really just kind of like having her. What did you call it? Moment? Sentimental.
A sentimental
Moment.
That wasn't sentimental.
No, I'm talking about the last one.
Oh.
So I'm saying the other one was I mean, this could be considered the same, but anyway, so the last time she was basically, she had a sentimental moment and she was really just kind of, praising and ranting and raving about you guys and saying like how cool it is. And then this one is kind of on the opposite side. I don't think it's not a negative at all. But this was mom. I think it was a good lesson moment, like just a learning lesson, like, hey, here's something to consider type moment. So she says, morning kids. I said, you all are getting older and you'll face more challenging situations. You seek more challenging situations, period. You seek out help or advice from each other or from friends. Be careful the advice you give each other. You are just as accountable. All of you know what God says about things, and his ways aren't always the easiest way, but it's the protected way. When you encourage each other to keep secrets or try to justify behaviors that aren't okay with God, you are just as accountable. And then she provides a scripture. This is Proverbs 11:14, and it says, "Where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety." And then the next one is from Psalms 1:1-3, and it says, "Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and all on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. And all that he does, he prospers. So mom shared that, and I remember, and I do want to call this out, a lighter moment. I'm just gonna scroll back up to the top real quick. So this was right here. Sunday, November 14th, right? Mom, she writes her piece, and that was what, November 14th?
Yeah.
And the next post comes in November 22nd. So nobody puts a little heart emoji, a thumbs up, okay, nothing. And that was all she wrote. So I thought that was funny. And what's funny is I didn't even put anything either. I was like, I was like, okay. But babe, can you provide some context where you were in that moment?
I can't remember specifically. There wasn't any one event I think that happened in that moment as they're getting older, and at that point, Darren away at school. Just everybody just being older, just remembering the advice that you give each other, and remembering who you are and who you represent, and just being careful the advice you give each other. I mean, that was it. It was mainly just being accountable. Mm-hmm.
And so for you guys, because nobody actually typed anything or whatever, I'm curious to know, like, when you read it, what were your thoughts? Like, were you trying to recount, like, oh shoot, like, did I say something or did I do something? Like, where were y'all when you saw that?
In trouble. I'm gonna be honest. Mm-hmm. I thought we were in trouble. Like, even reading it now, I was like, did we do something?
He trying to think, like, what the?
Because it was something like, did I do something? That's what they would.
Yeah, it was definitely like, where did this come from? Like, what happened?
Yeah. It's a Danielle.
Ditto.
I feel like Danielle knows something. Danielle knows something.
She was in the house. I mean, she was in the house with us.
Oh yeah, you were. Like, yeah, but she wasn't. I mean, it's not like she was looking at you when you were typing it. So
Did we talk about that at all, or was it just?
Oh, did y'all?
Did we?
Like, did it ever come up amongst the three of y'all?
I don't think so.
So wait. So you guys never had like a little confab or anything? It was just like, what did you do? Did anybody say something? Like, y'all never did that?
Not that I remember. We did.
I knew it. I knew Danielle knew something.
No, Tati.
I knew Danielle knew something.
You remember?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, it almost feels like it's not something that we want to air, and maybe we'll just off air tell her or remind her. But I have a couple questions. I do have a couple questions. I do have a couple questions.
Why y'all laughing at me?
I'm laughing to myself.
So here's a couple questions. The first one is there ever an appropriate time to snitch?
Yes, always.
Shit.
I could answer for everybody.
Seven the sloth is gonna slap you.
Yeah. You about to get slapped by the sloth. That sound like put that on the shirt. Slapped by the sloth.
Who on the shirt?
Who on the shirt? Slapped by the sloth.
Shirt?
You have to give us some background or something, Danielle. You can't just say that and that's it.
If yourself will be in danger or any type of trouble if you don't snitch, you should 100% snitch. I mean, I feel like everybody should be on that same. I'm not going to jail. So I would be the first person on the witness stand personally, and I would tell the whole story because I'm not going for somebody else. I'm sorry. I can't go to jail. I can't. You should have thought about that before you did what you did because I'm going to look out for myself.
And that's why you stay away from a life of crime.
Exactly.
I'm just not even gonna put myself in that position.
Because I will drag every single individual down the bus, under it, all the way down under it, in the sewer, right down.
I will tell you, Danielle, I agree with you. Prison is not a place I know people just don't aspire to go to prison, but I just don't want no parts of it. So I agree with you on that. I agree with you on the prison.
Get you in that moment. When that judge said 15 years, you proud of yourself?
Nah, because I be seeing videos. It be like two best friends like being tried. It's like y'all both gonna get 30 years, and one of the dudes be like,
Yep.
It is funny how at some point in time somebody does say something. Here's what I will say, and I think I know from my perspective, I look at it as I'm going to tell my truth, what I did, I'm going to tell me.
That's the nice way of saying I'm a snitch.
I can't tell you. No, I'm being honest. Like I can't ever remember a time where I would just boom, boom, boom. And mom has witnessed a situation that I was in with a friend, and what was it not?
Yes, the police.
Could it have?
I was going to snitch on your behalf.
It wasn't even the police. It was the feds. It was federal.
Yes, and they said, "Well, so did so and so write these checks?" And your daddy said, "Well, I mean, I can just confirm that those are my checks.
They're my checks, but I did not write
handwriting, and I can spell what's written on the check, but I can't confirm. I wasn't there when they were written. I'm sitting there looking at them like."
So I told them, so that's what I'm saying. That's the difference. Like, I'm going to tell my truth. And here's what I did ask them. I said, do I have to, like, if I know, like, do I have to say? And the guy, the agent or whatever said, like, he said, we just need to confirm whether or not you did it. Like, if it's your handwriting. And so I had to get it notarized and everything. I had to write my name, like, I don't know, it was a bunch of times. And I had to keep writing my signature and my handwriting. And they went and they evaluated it. And when they saw that when they recognized it wasn't me, that was it. And I said, and then that's when I asked them, I said, if I know, like, do I have to say anything like that? And they said, well, you don't have to. I mean, if you think you have an idea or whatever, then that's fine. But like, that's not what we're asking. That's not the part that we're asking or doing. And I said, okay. And that was it.
You're a good man with a good heart.
So I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna tell. I'm not gonna lie for you. Like, I'm not gonna lie or anything like that. If you ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you my side. I'm always gonna tell my side. And I've been like that since I can remember. So, anybody else?
I agree with Danielle, but like, if it's like a general normal thing, like everyday thing, I'm not gonna snitch. Like, if it needs to come to light, it's gonna come to light. That's what mom told me. I don't need to snitch on their behalf. It's someone else gonna say it. I'm gonna sit here, eat my popcorn, let it go down by itself. Because I used to be a snitch when I was elementary. So I was a snitch.
In elementary, we heard them stories.
Performed.
He performed.
Yeah, I think
I'm a victim.
Yeah.
You snitched on me.
Yeah, y'all should snitch on each other a lot.
I think that the spirit behind that message though was like, Darren, if Darren were to call and ask you for advice, like, you know, I listen, I'm gonna go ahead and we go to Walmart and we just, every third item we don't scan. I'm just gonna put it in the bag. And he asked the two of you, like, I mean, you know, is that good? Like, should I continue? You know, my hope is that y'all be like, no.
That's your business.
That's stealing. No. No.
Ditto.
That's your business.
I want you to tell him that that's stealing.
So you wouldn't steer him away from it?
You would say, no, you're not supposed to, but that's your business.
Like,
what you do is what you do.
That, but you got it. You got it.
So I'm saying it's your business.
Oh my gosh.
If you get caught, I'm still gonna walk out that store. You on your own. I'm sorry.
Well, I would hope that you all would try to give each other good counsel, good wisdom.
I'm playing.
What you mean?
Somewhat.
What? Huh? What?
Like, I wouldn't just sit there and witness that and like, hey, maybe you should stop.
I'd be like, bro, I told
Give that warning.
It'd be like, you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
Or like if you know one of you all are doing something that is, you know, is not okay to be, or something that's causing harm, that you would say, listen, like, you need help, because like, okay, here's what's going to happen. Either you going to call mom and dad and tell them, I'm going to give you until the end of the week. If not, I'm going to tell them, because what you're doing is hurting yourself. Like, what you're doing is not okay.
So you just here, I have a story for that. I have a great story for that.
That's all of us is like, hold up.
No.
You don't think you guys should do?
No, this just seems like a setup.
It does.
To tell
Like
each
a
other,
setup.
like if you know that someone, if you know one of you are doing something that's like harmful to themselves, like, or it's not okay, or that they're
Give an example of harmful.
you're harming yourself, you're hurting yourself, or you're
An
Or
example.
Like,
going to put
physically?
yourself in harm's way. Like, you're going to do something to put yourself in harm's way or physically.
Yeah. obviously, yeah, that is something. But beyond parents, you would do something further to make sure they get the help they need.
Right. So what about if it's something that's just not emotionally good for you or mentally in those spaces too? So that might not necessarily be like a physically, I'm going to harm myself, but what you're doing, you might mess yourself up emotionally, and it's not an ethical or a moral thing. Like maybe it's just especially when it comes to a moral, like morality. Yeah. Okay. Here's a good one because y'all feel like y'all acting like we talking in code. So you having sex and you're not married, but as you're not married. Can we talk real about? You can want to have sex, you can do it, but you're not supposed to. That's not what we believe. That's not what we walk in. And I'm using this as an example. I'm just saying like but you knowingly know this is happening, and you just feel like, hey man, like I feel like you kind of putting yourself in a bad situation. Because what happens when you finally do decide to settle with that one person? Maybe it is that person, but even if it is that person, what am I doing to myself emotionally that I might be sticking, like maybe setting myself up for later failures? Because I was emotionally in this position that I wasn't even ready for. And so I unlocked things, or I locked up things that now I'm in a relationship, and it's a committed relationship, and we don't even really emotionally know how to handle this type of stuff. So it's things like that. Like if you know, like, do you say something like as a brother, as a sister? Like, do you even address it like that? We're talking about that type of stuff. Here's a story, and this has to do with your auntie, Auntie Gigi, and so. This was 1997. No, I take that back. This was 1996. It was 1996. And my life was about to change drastically. I found out that I was going to have a child. This is when I found out Tatiana was going to be brought in this world. I didn't know what she was going to look like. We didn't have no name, nothing like that. But when I found out, I told my sister. Told her. And she immediately said, Deacon, you need to tell Mom. You need to tell Mom. And I was like, I mean, I know I eventually have to tell her, but I mean, man, and I was warned with that whole thing. You know, I got caught. I got caught doing something I ain't had no business doing. And it is what it is. So I finally sat down, and I remember it like it was yesterday. The couch was, our TV was like, the living room was kind of set up long. And the bigger couch was like here, and the smaller couch was here. So Mom was laying down on the couch here, and me and Gigi was sitting behind her because we were looking at the TV this way. And so we're back there literally like this. She like, and I'm like, I'm going down. We having this whole argument. And so Mom turns around, she's like, what are y'all doing? And it was just like TV. It was like, I'm like, nothing. And she was like, and then at that point, y'all know how grandma is. She was like, at that point, she's like locked in. She's like, what? What is it? What? And she knew it was me. What is it, Deacon? Deacon, Genesis, Gigi, what is it? Because now she's getting nervous. And so I'm just like, Mom. So I was so scared. And I was like, and my sister Gigi, God bless her, man. She meant well. And she said, one of us having a baby and it's not me. And I was just like,
the fact that she said it's not me.
She said, one of us having a baby and it's not me. And I was just like, what? So it was one of those situations. She was just like, don't. And what she was saying is, we know eventually it's going to come out. I mean, you can't hide it. But the sooner you say it or mention it, the better. And that's what she was pushing me and saying, don't wait. Like, let Mom know. Like, let Mom know so that we can. So basically, the I guess like the shock value of it and like we can start dealing with that because it was a lot. So like that's what we mean like when we're talking about that from that perspective. So
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
But
She said that's
at
fair.
the same time, it's also it really just depends on the situation. With something like that, I mean, that's something you obviously need to tell your parents like sooner rather than later. But I just feel like there's certain extremes to those things, and sometimes it just doesn't feel like as your sibling, it's not in my place to be the one to speak for you.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, we suggest like, hey, you might want to do this, this, and this, or I think you should say this, this, and this. But at the end of the day, it's not my place to make that decision for you, because I don't want to ruin the relationship I have with my sibling and make it seem like to you that you can't trust me anymore to talk to you, even though when I'm coming to you for advice or I'm coming to you, just to be vulnerable and open with you, but you immediately go run and tell without even giving me the chance to do so. And then at that point, you also make them look bad because now it looks like they were not trying to be honest. And so I think that's where it can be a little bit like difficult to be that person to just step up and say something. So I think as a sibling, that's something you just have to be mindful of. Unless it's something like your life is at risk or somebody else's, that's something like, hey, no, like this needs to be said. But if it's something that is just like you're mentally going through something, hey, like I think you should, if you're not going to talk to mom and dad, then why not ask if you can get some counseling, like something like that. But personally, and I've been in situations like that, personally, I don't want to be the one to speak on your behalf because you didn't give me that permission to do so. And I don't want you to feel like you can't speak to me anymore because you're afraid that whatever I say, I'm just going to go run and tell the next person. That's kind of like, not saying that like what you said, mate, like that's understandable. But at the same time, like stuff like that is what has me thinking like, I don't know if I should say anything, but let me suggest these things to you to try and make it easier for you to have the courage to go and speak up.
And I don't think my message in that text wasn't encouraging them to like to tell on. That wasn't in what I said.
No, it wasn't.
I was encouraging them the advice that you give each other. Make sure that advice is something that is wisdom. That's something that we've learned and we practiced. And I know, like even with my siblings, when we've had conversations, and I know the challenge is because like with my next sibling, there's a 8-year difference. So it's 8, 9, 10 years. So I think 11 and then it's a big dive.
Yeah. a big gap after that. Yeah.
Between us. I know that when I talk with especially with my brother, especially when he was going through, trying to figure out what he was going to do, like with school and just challenges he was having and with girls, for me, it was just, I think me making sure that the advice that I'm giving him or the conversation that we have, it's still good godly wisdom. I'm not preaching at him. I'm not going to sound like my parents because at that point in my life, I wasn't, I definitely didn't know as much as I know now or as much as they knew at that point. But at least I knew certain things. I knew some things to tell him. I knew some things like the idea of sowing and reaping or like, how you treat others. And so it was making sure that the advice that you're giving each other, what you are telling each other, you're still accountable for that advice. So make sure that advice is in line with your beliefs. I think that was the spirit behind what I was saying. Not encourage y'all to come run and tell us because as we've said, the point at you all in your lives, we can give advice to you all. We can tell you what we believe and what we think. But at the end of the day, we're not in the place anymore where we can dictate to you all, go do this. Not the way that we could when y'all were younger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I agree, and that's why I like what you said. I like even what you said, Danielle, and that's the point I was going to make. So I'm glad you clarified that, babe. I was going to say, like, I think in the spirit of what you were saying is what we were saying. Like, do you just, you don't have to come and tell us, but do you try to steer each other and say like, hey man, that might not be a good look type thing? And so I was like, okay, you get it. Like the minute you were talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, they get it. I only not asked about the snitch thing because I just wanted to know, like, is there ever a time? Like, do you? But I think you're right. I think that is the best spirit, the right spirit. And so you brought up a point, and I want to ask this question again too, and that really kind of flows into this. I actually had it here, and it says, so if you offer someone, it doesn't have to just be siblings, but if you offer someone advice and it results in a negative impact, like, do you feel like you should be accountable for that?
I feel like advice is suggested, so you're not 100% accountable for what they choose to do.
I was about to say
You
the
can
same
either
thing.
take my advice or not, but what you do is on you.
Yeah, everyone has a choice. I'm just proposing one of the choices that you can make, but ultimately it's your decision. What you do is it's you.
But again, that goes back to your advice needs to be like good advice. And I feel like for us, for the most part, we have good examples to go off of, like you guys, and then just growing up around the church and everything and being around good people. I feel like it's not often that we would make or encourage people to make poor decisions just based on, how we grew up. We can tell right from wrong for the most part. So
would you say it's a situation where if you see, I'm going to take from like is it TSA or something like that? Like if you see something, you say something like, and I mean like even amongst yourselves, like you see something that's a little off or you hear something that's a little off and it's just like, do you say something?
Say something to the person? I mean, yeah, you would question them to find out or to get clarification on what you heard or what you saw, before you make any assumptions. I think sometimes we go based off of assumptions, and sometimes that's not a good thing. Someone used to tell me, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. Because majority of the time when you hear certain things, it's not accurate. And sometimes when you see certain things, your perspective and your perception is different from what it really was. And so sometimes the clarification or the clarity needs to be there. But yeah, I stand solid on the believe none of what you hear and half of what you see.
Believe none of what you hear
and half of
what you see.
Yeah. And I tell my students that because, kids, it's, such and such said this or such and such said that, or I heard this and I heard that. And I'm like, believe none of what you hear, because majority of the time it's not even true. So.
Yeah. That's good. Darren, I know you've been sitting kind of quiet. You all right over there?
I'm good.
Who's the hardest one to give advice to?
You said what?
Who's the hardest one to give advice to?
Out of the three of us, Darren.
I'm hard-headed. Y'all know this.
Man, I
definitely didn't think he was gonna raise his hand.
but
Your eyes did.
I
They was
didn't
like,
either.
yeah, but here's the cool thing though, because I would say that's growth.
that is growth.
That's
Yeah.
growth with
That
Darren
is.
because, and that's one of those being self-reflective, knowing kind of like, yeah, that's a me thing, like for sure. So kudos to you, Darren, because that's growth, man. Like if this was last year, he probably wouldn't have done that. If it was last year. So being able to understand. And so that's half the battle. When you kind of understand and know like, hey, this is kind of an area of, that I might need to pay attention to, then now you can actually do something with it. But yeah, that's funny though. They all like, any other thoughts on that? I thought this would be a great one to kind of close out on because, again, the whole point in this podcast, y'all, is really just for us to come together. We like to shoot the breeze anyway, like just as a family. We actually enjoy each other's company. At least I feel like we do.
Yeah.
We fuss, we fight, we argue, we have disagreements, no doubt. I think when it all comes to a head, though, I feel like collectively we have a good time together. Like, and I think, and I appreciate that about you guys. And sure, we all have our little vices and our hangups and shortcomings when it comes to certain things. but we find a way to deal with it with each other. And so it's one thing, we know we love each other, and we know that we're supposed to love each other, even, love our friends and family and enemies even, and things of that nature. To me, I put some stock into when you actually like being around somebody, you like hanging out with them. And I feel like I feel our relationships as a unit, family unit, and then individually towards each other in certain facets or aspects, I feel it moving in the right direction. So I appreciate that from you guys. And this was a good little journey for us.
I think go ahead, Danielle. Sorry.
Oh no, I said that sounded like the end of a Disney movie. You should have had the piano music playing in the background.
Yeah, that was cool. Go ahead, man. What'd you say?
I think that during the group chat, it was just like, it was a joke in the car. Like, we should do a group chat.
Yeah.
But
You were the one.
Yeah,
I know.
it was Mom's idea, really.
But I'm just saying, like, it was like jokes, just us talking.
Yeah, it
and
was.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, I know that the for me, and I know it sounds like, what is it like? You into yourself. When I listen to us, like, it really brings joy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I know that I am happy that we bring each other joy. Listening back to the podcast, watching the videos, listening to it, driving home on my hardest days. My days where, it's just been a struggle, or you feel like you haven't done anything right, or people just frustrated you. I can play this podcast at any time, and hearing us as a family, it brings true joy, like laughter. It just, you hear things you didn't hear before, facial expressions. And, I'm grateful that in doing this, especially as everybody's going, Tatiana's already, moved out, and then Darren's going back to school, Danielle's leaving. So I'm happy that we had this time. It's like we kind of drew real close first, like closer.
Yeah.
And so I just know if there's a hard day, the same way we can text each other on the chat and get encouragement, get a laugh off of each other or about one another. I'm just grateful. And my hope is that other people will find that joy. Like, it's something to aspire to. And I will say, growing up, this is what you want, right? You want to be married for 20 plus years. You want children who are happy and healthy and thriving. And you want a family where everyone is not estranged, but y'all can be around each other. So I'm really grateful. This is one of, I guess, the sentimental moments.
Sentimental
but
moments.
It's a big deal. And we have there's time when there's correction, or there's time when there's, when everybody's upset. Yeah. But then there's just all out, just fun.
Yeah. And it's more, and we have more of those times than we do of the other ones.
Like, I wish we had a group text, like when we went to the water park, like the stuff that happened at the water park.
No.
No. She talking about the jump, the jump place?
That's not any better.
Wait, what was the water park? I don't even remember I don't even remember the water park.
It's not. It wasn't.
Somebody had a like MVP.
Somebody. Oh, you talking about?
We not talking about it.
It's in the group chat. It's
not this year. Not this year. She talking about a while ago when we went to Orlando. Yeah.
But I don't think the phones are gonna make it. I gave them medicine, and this is just.
Well, well, let me say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before the batteries run out.
Go ahead, there.
I just want to say, I'm very grateful, and
she's being sentimental.
I know.
Oh my God! Oh my
God!
Oh, and we've lost it.
Anyway, but on a serious note, I'm very grateful, and I'm very fortunate to have the family that I have. I know I don't say it
at all
often, but not it. Just seeing what my life could have been, I'm grateful that it's not. Mm-hmm. So, thank you all for being a great family. I think we're pretty cool. Some of us cooler than others.
Yeah, I'm the coolest.
There it goes.
And we've lost them.
You only got it for 3 seconds.
Yeah,
I'm
that-
right. You just gotta take it when you. Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It's a come and go.
Well, y'all, this has been a pleasure doing this with y'all, and we'll see, man. We'll see what the future holds, and we'll see if we can do some more. But till then, y'all, peace out.
See y'all.
What was the
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. Join us for upcoming episodes as we reach back into our text threads and attempt to make some sense of them. Catch you in the next thread, y'all.